The dust from my truck hadn't even settled when I saw her marching across what was supposed to be my property. She moved with the kind of righteous fury that only comes from years of unchecked authority. Her clipboard clutched like a weapon, her designer sunglasses reflecting the afternoon sun like twin shields of entitlement. I'd driven 18 hours straight from Seattle to claim my inheritance, my grandfather's 40-acre ranch in rural Colorado. Grandpa Joe had passed 3 months ago, and the grief still sat heavy in my chest. This land was all I had left of him. The place where I'd spent every childhood summer learning to ride horses, mend fences, and appreciate the kind of silence you can't find in the city. "Excuse me." The woman's voice cut through the air like a saw blade. "You're trespassing on HOA property." I stepped out of my truck, my legs stiff from the long drive. "I'm sorry, what?" She was in her mid-50s, wearing a white polo shirt with an embroidered logo I couldn't quite make out, khaki capris, and pristine white sneakers that had clearly never touched actual ranch dirt before today. Her honey blonde hair was pulled back, so tight it looked painful. "I'm Patricia Moreland, president of the Sage Valley Homeowners Association. This property was seized for unpaid HOA dues and sold at auction 2 weeks ago." She thrust a paper toward me. "The new owners take possession tomorrow." My blood went cold. That's impossible. My grandfather owned this land outright for 47 years. There's no HOA. Patricia's smile was sharp enough to cut glass. The Sage Valley HOA was established in 2019. All properties within our boundaries are automatically enrolled. Your grandfather was sent multiple notifications. He died in April, I said, my voice shaking. And this property was never part of any HOA. My grandfather specifically chose this land because it was outside any development. That may have been true once, but the county redrew some boundary lines when we incorporated. Now, if you don't leave immediately, I'll have to call the authorities. She pulled out her phone with manicured fingers. I pulled out my own paperwork. The deed, the will, everything my grandfather's lawyer had sent me. I'm Jake Morrison. Joseph Morrison was my grandfather. According to this, I inherited this property free and clear. There's no mortgage, no liens, and definitely no HOA. Patricia barely glanced at my documents. Those are outdated. The property was legally sold 2 weeks ago to a developer from Denver. They're planning to build a lovely equestrian community. Very upscale. The sale is already finalized. My hand was shaking now. You can't just sell someone's property without. We followed all legal procedures, she interrupted, her voice dripping with condescension. Multiple certified letters were sent. When no response was received and dues remained unpaid for 18 months, we exercised our right to foreclose. It's all in the HOA bylaws, which your grandfather agreed to when the HOA was formed. He was in hospice for the last year of his life. I shouted, no longer caring about staying calm. He couldn't respond to anything. And even if he could have, he never agreed to join your HOA because this property isn't part of it. Patricia's expression hardened. Young man, I don't appreciate your tone. I'm trying to be professional here. Professional? You sold my grandfather's ranch out from under me while I was burying him. She raised her phone. I'm calling 911. You're becoming threatening. I'm standing on my own property. But she was already dialing, turning away from me with theatrical flair. Yes, hello? I need police assistance at 4750 County Road 39. There's an aggressive trespasser refusing to leave HOA property. He's very hostile. I feel unsafe. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. She'd stolen my inheritance and was now calling the cops on me? While Patricia spoke in urgent, frightened tones to the dispatcher, completely fabricating how aggressive I was being, I called the only person I could think of, Linda Chavez, my grandfather's lawyer. Jake! Linda answered on the second ring. Are you at the ranch? Linda, there's a woman here claiming the HOA sold the property. She says, What? Hold on. Slow down. What HOA? I explained everything while Patricia watched me from 20 feet away, still on her phone, now apparently calling someone else, probably her husband or the alleged new owner. Linda was silent for a long moment. Jake, Your grandfather's property was never part of any HOA. I handled all his affairs. There were no dues, no letters, nothing. Can you send me photos of whatever documents she has? She won't let me see them up close. Get photos anyway. And don't leave that property. I'm 2 hours away, but I'm coming right now. If the police arrive before I do, be polite. Show them your deed and explain the situation calmly. Do not let them intimidate you into leaving. 2 sheriff's deputies arrived 30 minutes later. Patricia immediately rushed toward them, her face a mask of distress. Officers, thank goodness. This man has been yelling at me, threatening me. I told him this property belongs to the HOA now, but he won't listen. Deputy Martinez, a tired-looking man in his 40s, turned to me. Sir, can you explain what's going on? I took a deep breath and pulled out my documents. My name is Jake Morrison. My grandfather, Joseph Morrison, passed away 3 months ago and left me this ranch. I have the deed, the will, and the death certificate right here. I arrived today to take possession of my inheritance, and this woman claims the property was sold by an HOA that my grandfather never belonged to. Deputy Martinez examined my papers carefully while his partner, Deputy Chong, spoke quietly with Patricia. This deed looks legitimate, Martinez said. It shows clear ownership by Joseph Morrison, transferred to you upon his death. Patricia swooped in. But that deed doesn't supersede HOA covenants. We sent certified letters. We followed all legal procedures. Ma'am, Deputy Chong said carefully, do you have documentation showing that this specific property was actually part of your HOA? Of course. Patricia fumbled with her clipboard. The boundaries are clearly, well, it's all in our master plat, which is filed with the county. And do you have proof that Mr. Morrison, the elder Mr. Morrison, received notice of HOA membership and foreclosure proceedings? Martinez asked. Patricia's confidence wavered slightly. The letters were sent to the property address. My grandfather was in hospice, I said quietly. He wasn't living here, and he never would have agreed to join an HOA. He bought this land specifically because it was private, unincorporated land. Deputy Martinez looked between us. This is a civil matter, not a criminal one. Ma'am, you can't have someone arrested for trespassing on property when ownership is disputed. Sir, he turned to me, I'd recommend you contact a lawyer immediately and get this sorted out through the proper channels. My lawyer is on her way, I said. Patricia's face had gone red. This is outrageous. I have a fiduciary duty to the HOA members. The sale was legal. Then you'll need to prove that in court, Martinez said firmly. But right now, this young man has a deed showing he inherited this property. Until a judge says otherwise, he has as much right to be here as anyone. After the deputies left, with stern warnings to both of us to keep things peaceful, Patricia stood fuming at the property line. You haven't heard the last of this, she hissed. The HOA has lawyers too. Good ones. And when we prove that sale was legal, you'll owe us for the time and expense of dealing with your obstruction. Looking forward to it, I said, my voice steadier than I felt. She stormed off to her white Lexus SUV, kicking up dust as she sped away. When Linda arrived 2 hours later, she brought a stack of documents 6 inches thick. We sat on my grandfather's porch, my porch now, as she spread everything out. Jake, I've been digging all afternoon. The Sage Valley HOA does exist, but their legal boundaries are clearly mapped, and your grandfather's property is a quarter mile outside those boundaries. They have no jurisdiction here whatsoever. Relief flooded through me. So the sale isn't legal? The sale is completely fraudulent. I've already contacted the county recorder's office. No legal foreclosure was filed, no auction was held, and no deed was transferred. Patricia Moreland appears to have fabricated the entire thing. But why? Linda's expression darkened. I did some asking around. Apparently, there's a developer who's been trying to buy up land in this area for years. Your grandfather refused to sell. I'm guessing Patricia saw an opportunity when he died. Forged some documents, scare off the heir, and flipped the property to her developer friend for a nice finder's fee. That's fraud. That's actually criminal. Yes, it is. I've already contacted the district attorney's office. They're very interested in speaking with Ms. Moreland. 3 weeks later, I watched from that same porch as Patricia Moreland was escorted from her own home in handcuffs. The local news called it HOA foreclosure fraud. She'd apparently tried the same scheme with 2 other properties belonging to elderly or deceased owners. The charges included fraud, forgery, and attempted theft. The developer from Denver turned out to be her brother-in-law, and he was arrested too. I spent that first summer on the ranch repairing fences, repainting the barn, and learning to breathe again. Every sunset reminded me of Grandpa Joe, and every morning felt like reclaiming something precious that had almost been stolen. The Sage Valley HOA elected a new president and sent me a formal apology letter, along with clarification that my property had never been, and never would be, part of their association. I framed that letter and hung it right next to Grandpa Joe's old ranch sign. Some people think they can take whatever they want if they act authoritative enough. But the law doesn't care about clipboards or confidence. It cares about the truth. And the truth was simple. This land was mine, just like Grandpa Joe intended.